an MC for this tournament.
Right. You don't want Rob Schneider there. You don't want... I don't know why.
The animal. But no, you're right. You don't want him there or anywhere.
Yeah.
You should watch his show on Netflix. If you want a laugh. Not in the good way. I think it's terrible. But that's just me. And... I mean, I'm scrolling through his IMDb, and I'm like, I just now hit the 2018. I swear I've been scrolling for like 3 minutes. And then, let's talk about this year. He has completed, well, according to IMDb, he's filming 20 movies. And he's in post-production for about the same amount. I mean... Jesus.
Yeah, I mean... I'm sure any college kid calls Eric Roberts and just like, you want to be in this movie? And Eric, sure, why not? Yeah. You know, it's just kind of this thing.
Good for him.
Yeah. You know, not saying that maybe he just loves acting. I don't know if like how much he's getting paid, like these studio produced movies, how big they are, but still it's just, it's good for him, man. I mean, that's awesome. Just living in LA, enjoying the dawn of your life? Is it the dawn? No, not the dawn, the dusk of your life.
His leathery tan skin sitting outside at a coffee shop in L.A. You walk by, he's like, hey, I'm Eric Roberts. Hey, Eric, I got this script. I'm in. Enough said. He did one of the weirdest things I saw was this movie, was a trailer for this movie, a movie I never saw about a cat. And Eric Roberts voices the cat.
Was it a cartoon or a real movie?
Oh, it's called A Talking Cat.
Yeah, why not?
And it has who's the big other than Eric Roberts? Eric Roberts. I thought it had Dom DeLuise or something in it. I could be wrong. So Eric Roberts voices the cat. Now this cat, when you watch the trailer, and maybe we'll post it and we'll show it to Marcus later. It sounds like Eric Roberts was on his phone and was like, I can't make the set, let me just call in my lines. Because it sounds like they've recorded it. And like one of the lines in the trailer is like, what, I'm a cat. But it sounds like he's talking to you on the phone. It's the weirdest thing. God bless Eric Roberts. A talking cat.
Maybe they were just like, look, Eric, we just need you. You can do it on your phone. It doesn't matter what you're doing.
We want your name attached.
He was golfing during those 3 hours where they needed to record, and that's just what he did. Yeah.
And so we have that. Who else do we got, Marcus?
Let's see. You know, we can talk about. Let's talk about. I want to go into Kevin Nash real quick because we still have Brian White that I want to talk about as well.
And we have
Cory
Yoon, of course.
Yeah, and we'll get the director.
You know, I'd love to talk about Kevin Nash.
Oh yeah, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. But the only time, so of course you're big into wrestling, Adam, and I am. You know, I dip my toes in every once in a while, thanks to you, and I'll watch a match. I'll jump into a party where we're watching an event that's on, you know, the WrestleMania channel or not WrestleMania channel, but on demand.
You sounded like my mother just.
It's on that WrestleMania channel.
Hulk Hogan on.
Yeah, but he plays it. Kevin Nash is how I want to be. I'm in my 40s right now, but as I get older, Kevin Nash reminds me of the dad that I want to be. Kind of like I loved him. It just seemed like they filmed him. It just seemed like they filmed him doing stuff.
I think he over delivers in this movie.
I do too.
He's a joy to watch.
He is. Immediately when he knocked over the nurse's tray, and he's like, "Oh shit, let me." That is exact. I have made the same noises. I have said the same thing. He reacted. That had to be. It looked like improv, if not stupendous acting, Kevin Nash. But that was just amazing. That whole little dialogue and that action that he took in that.
Kevin Nash, also known as Diesel, also known as Vinny Vegas, also known as I think his name was Axel from a tag team in the late 80s, early 90s called the Master Blasters. He was a basketball player. He maybe at East Tennessee State, or maybe I'm thinking of The Big Show.
Yeah.
But he became, his claim to fame was, at first anyway, it was Diesel. He came in as the big 7-foot truck driver, I guess was the character he was supposed to be
that was his
playing.
initial character?
I mean, you can call it a character. So WWF in the early 90s was big into characters.
Yeah.
Even though no real character had ever risen to the top. And when I say character, I mean like, oh, look, there's the dump truck. There's the trash man, who's also a wrestler. There's the plumber, who's a wrestler.
Right.
But they were so keen on doing it. So here was Diesel, who maybe started as Shawn Michaels' bodyguard and eventually had his own character, and he was the WWF champ for a long time. But what he's sort of changed for the business was when he went to WCW and started the New World Order, which was part of the big wrestling boom in 96 to like 2001, basically, where wrestling was breaking all these ratings records, and Kevin Nash was a big part of that. Huge. And he made a comeback, probably around this time. He made a comeback to WWE at the time, and tore both of his quads in a match, or tore a quad in a match. And it's you can see him get into the ring, make a lunge towards someone, and just go ah, because his quads tore from his bones.
Both quads, like at that
Maybe
time,
not both. That happened to Triple H, but at least one quad tore off. He still is buff as hell. And he's had a great film career.
Yeah. Was it, before you even say anything, I couldn't remember and I didn't want to look it up. Was that Kevin Nash as the bouncer in John Wick?
Yes.
Okay.
That's Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
Kevin Nash is in The Punisher.
Yeah, knew that. Yeah, it was the Russian guy. I love that part. Yeah.
He's of course Super Shredder.
Yeah.
Which is huge, and he talks about how, like, you know, as a wrestler, you're not given benefits.
Right.
You know, here's this billion-dollar company, and they don't give benefits to their wrestlers. Anyway, that's another podcast. But
let's not get into politics.
Yeah, let's not get into healthcare as being a political thing. He talked about how most of his money, like most of his health insurance from the time he did, I guess, Turtles 2 was 94?
Around there, yeah. Turtles 2, oh, yeah.
Ninja.
Yeah, I would say 94.
Ninja rap.
Yeah.
So he's been living off like health insurance from that Screen Actors Guild health insurance since that movie.
Good for him, man.
And then, you know, all of his other movies just compounds it. So all of his health insurance come from that. So good for him.
Yeah.
What else has he done?
I mean, that's
the big one I always remembered was Super Shredder. Like when I found that out, that was pretty mind blowing to me.
The one that I always remember him from is Punisher. Mm-hmm. Just because that's like one of my favorite fight scenes in the world is just that whole fight scene is just fun.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. But and then like I was curious is like if about John Wick too, because Megan and I watched it because Megan had never seen it, my wife. And we watched that a couple of days ago, and, you know, she loved it. And then as we were watching, I was like, wait a minute, is that Kevin Nash?
What a great role, too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, not only that, they have the center for the Dallas Mavericks, Boban.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In the newest John Wick.
Right.
I think it's a really fun role for Kevin Nash to play. He's legit close to 7 feet. At least he was. I don't know if he is anymore. Just this buff dude, and John Wick's like, basically, like, let me in the building. He's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'll take the night off.
Yeah.
I was just, like, amazed, too, because and of course, I've seen John Wick maybe, 5, 8, 10 times, something like that, but how, like, high Reeves' arm when he's pointing it up to Nash, like, on that scene, like, how high he's having to reach up, it seems like.
Yeah.
And Reeves is a tall guy, too. And,
6-footer.
Yeah.
Oh, man, how fun is it to watch Keanu Reeves do the shooting courses?
Oh, dude, I could watch that all day, man.
Yeah, it's great. So, you know, there are other people in this cast. Of course, that's not the whole movie, but it's, you know, a lot of the other people don't have major U.S. careers. Are we missing anybody we should touch on in this?
I don't think. I mean, I think we'll talk about people as we go to once we kind of dive into scenes in the movie as well. Mm-hmm. You know, like I said, we have Brian White.
Yeah, talk about Brian White.
Yeah, I mean, I loved Zach. I love that character too. Zach made me think of like if I was a D.O.A. huge video game fan, like that would be who I was excited. It seemed like that was the character. He just played it up to that, and it's this is so, you know, just outside the wheelhouse or you know whatever he's doing, and he just amped it up, and it seemed fun. And
Yeah.
that's besides just all the hitting that he did on Jamie Presley, but the fight scene, him and Jamie Presley's fight scene are great.
Yes.
I love how that kind of build up was too, where they're flirting, and then she's like, "We got to do this," and that's what I love. Just taking it back to this, this female character is like, fuck relationships. It's time to fight right now.
Yeah.
We got to fight, and I love that.
This guy's been all over. He's
Yeah.
big in Chicago TV right now. He probably lives in Chicago. Maybe he's stopped. He's not doing Chicago Fire anymore, but he was a big role in Chicago Fire as Dallas Patterson. He did a crossover episode with Chicago PD. If you remember the series Hostages that ran for a little bit.
I remember him from Brick as the jock. Remember him?
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah.
Brick's hard to watch.
It is. It is.
I don't like that movie. I Can Do All Bad All By Me. He was in S.H.I.E.L.D. The Shield, excuse me. Tavon Garris. One of his first episodes was Bottom Bitch.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, he was in not Mr. Baseball, Mr. 3000. That's who I remember him in too. Yeah.
With Bernie Mac.
Yeah. Mr. 3000. Yeah.
What a fun movie that is.
Yeah.
That's another movie that over-delivered.
It did. It was great.
I
Bernie
love
Mac
that
is so good.
Gosh, it's great. And there are, like we said, I mean, this movie's filled with probably stunt actors and a lot of people who have gone on to do quite a lot. I'll say that, like, from what I read, most of the video game fans were really fanning out over the way in which they portrayed Leon.
Right.
Silvio Simac,
Yeah.
I believe his name is. So we can talk about him real briefly. He, bodybuilder, stunt guy mainly. He's another guy was an Iron Monk. He was in Unleashed, which is a fighting movie. Black Mask 2, City of Mask, which is another fighting movie. Like I said, he's done a lot of fighting in John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. He's one of the muscle guys. How about that?
Oh, nice. Okay.
But he doesn't really have any speaking roles. And let's get to it. Let's talk about the legend that is Cory Yoon, who's responsible for so much of what I loved as a kid. Do you have any fun background on Cory before we talk about some of the other movies he's done?
Just looking at it, as far as the vast filmography that he has, in Asian movies especially too. But I mean, coming over from the Western, but it's nothing as far as looking at it. There's movies that we love, and I think what I love him for, and not even knowing until a couple of years ago, probably was No Retreat, No Surrender.
Absolutely,
in 1 and 2, and that's always going to be my number one. Maybe your Bloodsport to my, or Kickboxer to my, is my No Retreat, No Surrender, I think.
He also was sort of credited with discovering Cynthia Rothrock.
Yeah.
And he brought her over. Yes, Madam was a Cynthia Rothrock joint. But yeah, of course, No Retreat, No Surrender. I remember watching that as a kid and just really being blown away. Once again, the story. I'm sure we'll do that movie and dedicate a lot of time to it.
Yeah.
The 80s trope of this karate school's making a lot of money and the mafia wants to move in.
Right. Why not? Yeah. Fuck restaurants. It was all about...
Yes.
It was all about mini mall, karate dojos.
And they just finished The Sopranos, and Tony never approaches a dojo instructor.
Why wouldn't he?
Obviously, they make a lot of money.
But just think about you, and you can tell your kids, I started Van Damme's career. I discovered Rothrock.
Yeah.
Just
started her career. I mean, I think you're fair to say that.
Yeah.
And he's done. I mean, just his movies are so much fun to watch. Hero with Jet Li, we referenced earlier. The Transporter, which is great. Statham's maybe best. I don't know. A lot of people like Crank.
I love Crank.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Transporter more, but I do love Crank. It's fun. It has Dwight Yoakam in it.
Yeah, and any movie Dwight Yoakam's in, I think we can say is a win for all parties involved.
110%. Yeah.
What else has Dwight Yoakam been in?
Wedding Crashers.
Say no more.
Sling Blade.
All right,
Yeah,
you're right.
there's big ones.
There's a bigger catalog than maybe I had envisioned of Dwight Yoakam.
Yeah.
She thinks my tractor's sexy.
4 Christmases.